Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. It's your boy World of Wrestling here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite August 21st, 2024 review. Um my thoughts on the show is they did a good job. I like the way they closed out the show at Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland. Good commentary by both guys going into this. Um I loved it. If there was some sort of issue, hi guys, welcome to the channel. It's your boy World of Wrestling here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite August 21st, 2024 review. And this was a good show. I enjoyed this show. It was a good, go home show. Usually their go home shows are not exactly that great, in my personal opinion, but it is what it is. Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland was great tonight. The way they closed out this episode and did their final statements that they had to say for their all-in main event world title match. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really pumped. This is actually the biggest selling point of the entire pay-per-view to me, outside of Will Ospreay and MJF. They're both main event quality matches, in my personal opinion. Okay, Retro, thanks for the comments and have a good time talking to yourself. Anyway, um, this was again a good show, not terrible by any means whatsoever. And I think they did a good job here. They had some good matches on this card too. I actually enjoyed some of the matches. Will Ospreay. Fucking whatchamacallit. Um Okada and Claudio had a great match, a six-man tag team match that took place between Darby Allin, FTR versus the Young Bucks and Jack Perry. It was an awesome, entertaining back and forth six-man tag team match. Unfortunately, they really need to just make these as like tornado tag matches. Um, so it is what it is. Matt 87 Eagle says, well, what a surprise. AEW actually had a good show tonight. Yeah. Go figure. Finally, they can claim they had a good show. Can they keep that going? I doubt it. I think after this pay-per-view, the fucking show is going to fall off a cliff, honestly. Matt 87 Eagle says, I don't know why they can't do that on a regular basis. That's because Tony Khan likes to take hiatuses and have the Young Bucks pretty much do nothing. But we all know that's not really true. But yeah, I don't see Tony Khan trying so adamantly to build shows around storylines. He's trying to build shows around pro wrestling. Pro wrestling gets you so far. To me, pro wrestling is more the indicator for the pay-per-views than it is for the week-to-week televised shows. I mean, you can get a good match here and there on a televised show that goes week to week, but when it comes down to it, pro wrestling is not about the actual wrestling in the ring when it comes to week. Wrestling counts more when it comes down to the pay-per-view / PLEs, whatever you want to call them. That's where the wrestling actually matters. Wrestling on a week-to-week show, not really. This isn't like the UFC or boxing or anything like that. This is a scripted televised show. So going ahead and worrying about, who's putting on the best performances, who's being the most entertaining, the wins and losses, yeah, I agree. I think they should tie into the storylines to help give us an indication as to who should deserve a world title or any championship opportunity. But outside of that, there's really no rhyme or reason to worry yourself over who had the best match tonight on a weekly televised show that's really meant and should be used as a way of building and hyping up the pay-per-view you're investing your time into to watch for 3-4 hours. That's really where the wrestling matters, in the pay-per-views. Tonight, they did a good job. They tied some storylines. They had some good matches. They did some good shit. I liked it. It was good stuff. Raw this past Monday was a good show. I liked it. I came across one of my followers, one of the people I follow on YouTube, BC Amplified. He actually said there was nothing on that show. I don't think so. There was a lot of good content on that show. Was there some portions of the episode of Raw this past Monday that was kind of boring? Yeah, I'd agree to that. I believe I mentioned this past Monday it was the matches during the 10 o'clock hour that needs to go, which has been my whole saying for quite a while now, since WWE has got back on their feet creatively and have gotten these shows under control where they're watchable and enjoyable to watch as a viewer and a fan. So this episode, again, it's a good show, but again, this is a one and done deal. This is not going to replicate going into after this pay-per-view. I don't believe Tony Khan has the ability to deliver a consistent, good show that progresses storylines. I just don't see him as that kind of guy. Maybe that's why he's bringing Shane McMahon in and why he's having conversations with him. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that Shane McMahon can provide some kind of consistency with the storylines and the progressions. Because at this point in time, with the stuff that was talked about 2 years ago at the Royal Rumble in 2022, I don't even care about that. I'm not even buying that as legitimate facts at this point until he actually comes in and is given the opportunity to see how he can do creatively. I think he's got the capability to provide us a good contented show consistently week after week, where we're not going to go, well, this episode was absolute shit, and then go for 2-3 weeks saying, what the hell's going on here? And then get 2-3 weeks of really good content. Tony Khan is totally inconsistent with his ability to give us a good show. And that's where his problem lies. I think he needs a guy who knows what to do consistently and can help him out. I think that's another thing. I think Tony Khan is wearing himself out, thinning himself out, basically. He's having to worry about this, that, the other. He's a one-man operation with a big, big company. I mean, between Ring of Honor not being that big of a concern or a big deal, but still, it is still something he is interacting with, dealing with, and conducting business with. The guy has got too much on his plate. He needs help. And if he's afraid to ask for help or admit that he needs help, he's got a big problem, and it's going to fail. From what I heard, Tony Khan got a deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, so they're still going to be on TNT and TBS. Congratulations to him. There was also rumors that these shows may go to Max, meaning like the pay-per-views and whatnot, which would be fantastic. It would save us money on these pay-per-views because honestly, I'm not going to lie, I've been investing my money in UFC pay-per-views and they're not fucking cheap. I've been getting them at a $10 prorated price at like $69.99 for the last 2 months. And that's because I bet on UFC. So, and I like to watch it. It is good. It is well worth the $69. I'm not saying that. It does have some really great fights. I mean, Dana White doesn't fuck around with those UFC pay-per-views. He gives us well worth our money for these fights. So kudos to him. But I don't know. Sometimes don't think month to month pay per views for UFC is something affordable for us normal people, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Matt 87 Eagle says, "Do you think we'll see a rematch for the Continental Championship at all? At all in because of the draw?" We are seeing a rematch for that because, oh, you're saying if there's a draw at all in, will there be one at all out? Um, I don't think there will be a draw, Matt 87 Eagle. I think that Will Ospreay is going to win this match based on the fact that he was the guy assaulted here tonight, leaving a bloody mess. Also, Bryan Danielson backstage kind of hinting to use the Tiger Driver 96. So yeah, I honestly think we are going to see Will Ospreay as the new international or intercontinent or international champion, whatever the fuck they're calling it now. Oh, you mean oh, you're talking about I'm going all over the place. You're talking about Okada and Claudio. No, I don't think we're going to see a rematch. The international championship. Yeah, the international championship. That title is going to be leaving MJF's hands because of the fact that you had Bryan Danielson backstage today telling him, "Hey, do it," referring to using the Tiger Driver 96. It's going to happen. He's going to use the move he's been banishing, refusing to use on other opponents because he doesn't want to injure them. But in this case, he's going to make an exception because he's got to do everything he can to win this freaking match and take his title back that he never really lost on account of a shitty fucking way of winning. So I think Will Ospreay is winning that title back. For the Continental Championship, no, I don't think we're going to see a rematch. If we were going to see a match between these two, it would have been announced a few weeks ago. I'd say about 2 weeks ago with a little bit of story or something. This match belonged on the pay-per-view personally, I think. They had some good quality action taking place between these two guys, and it just ended up being a draw, and they didn't give us a 5-minute extension of this match to give these guys an opportunity to get a pinfall victory or submission. So it is what it is there. So let's go over this shit because I got to go to a gym and get some exercise. So let's get to it. Anyway, so we kick off with Tony Schiavone bringing out Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné for a contract signing for their match at All In. Britt Baker says she can say whatever she wants, but before there was a CEO, there was a DMD. Hold on. I think I skipped a few things. Okay, so Tony Schiavone actually, after he brings both of them out, reminds them that they have agreed to no physicality tonight. Mercedes Moné says when she makes Baker tap on Sunday, people will know Brett's the past and she will forever be the future. Moné then signs the contract. Britt Baker says she can say whatever she wants, but before there was a CEO, there was a DMD. Moné says Baker makes her sick, and the fans only like Baker because they see themselves in her as a loser. Moné says this is a Baker's dream match, and she's her favorite wrestler and questions if Baker is truly all in. She was all in when she was younger, when she was 10, and took this very seriously as something she wanted to make it as a career path for herself. While she felt Baker used being a dentist as a second choice in case something didn't fall through. Baker responds back though later on in this dialogue, saying that she made that as a plan A as well as wrestling being a plan A. So there was no backup. She wanted to do both at the same time. Mercedes says Baker won't beat her on Sunday, and Brett says she has the guts, the heart, and the balls. And Baker says she's the gold standard and calls herself the baddest bitch on the block. Baker says she wanted to be like Mercedes, that she walked so she could run. And Brett says Mercedes made a difference, but that person doesn't exist anymore, and calls her a smug, arrogant ass. Baker says she cares more about being the highest paid woman in wrestling than being the best in the world. Well, unfortunately, Britt Baker, I'm sorry to tell you, there's a little secret. It's called, if you are good at what you do, you get paid for your services. So if you're the best at what you do, you get paid the most too. It comes with the territory. Sorry, Britt. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's part of the whole situation. These guys don't go out there to do this shit for free. They get hurt. I mean, it's one thing if they weren't getting hurt and they wanted to do it for free, I could understand. But to do this shit for free, to do it for free and get hurt all the time, getting your body thrown around, and you're being part of a scripted show that you have no control over the end result of a match, I'd be caring about getting paid, if you know what I mean. Give me the cash. Come on. Shit. Are you kidding? So Baker says she's not going to attack Mercedes, but hits Kamel with a microphone instead, slams her head off the table, and crossbodies Carmel and Mercedes out of the seat, sending them out of the ring. Unbelievable. Anyway, next up, we had Chris Jericho in action on the AEW Dynamite. Next, the Learning Tree is backstage. Chris Jericho says something has been bothering him his entire flight over to Cardiff. Jericho questions what right Billington has to call himself the Dynamite Kid besides the fact that he's his uncle. Jericho says what he does to Billington tonight will be done sevenfold to Hook on Sunday at All In. Okay. Not that I really care. I just honestly don't give a flying fuck about Hook and Chris Jericho at this point. Anyway, Jericho beats the Tommy Billington. And after the match was over, Jericho gets on the microphone and calls Hook a stupid bastard. Jericho says if Hook was there right now, he'd rip him apart branch by branch. And Hook comes to the ring and gets in Jericho's face. Big Bill attacks Hook from behind and chokeslam him. And the Learning Tree poses over Hook before leaving the ring. Whoop-de-fuck you do. Then we got Timeless Toni Storm. She's back to being her character again. I thought she was a raving lunatic who lost her mind. Apparently that's all changed in just a week or so. I have no idea. Anyway, Toni Storm hits Saraya with Storm 0 to score the pinfall victory, and Mariah May attacks Storm after the match and hits her with a shoe. And that's pretty much what happens. Kisses her on the forehead, and that's pretty much it. So the conglomeration is backstage. They want a match on Collision this Saturday night. Whoop-de-fuck you do. We get a stare down confrontation with Will Ospreay and MJF. This was absolutely stupendous. Great shit. They made MJF kind of admit that why he turned on the fans, and it was more because Will Ospreay was being beloved by the fans while he made his return. Interesting. So anyway, let me read the content that took place in this segment. Will Ospreay and MJF have their face-to-face in-ring, face-to-face in the ring, and there isn't supposed to be any physicality, or there would be a fine of about $125,000, 100 pounds of Will Ospreay's currency. Ospreay says he's going to clean up MJF's mess. MJF says he returned early from his injury to clean up Ospreay's mess. And Ospreay says MJF holding the AEW World Championship was a joke. And it was a joke that was funny that went on for too long. Ospreay says Tony Khan brought him into All In last year when he wasn't even employed, just to put on a good wrestling match because Khan couldn't rely on MJF to do it. I think that's a crock of shit if you ask me. I don't think Will Ospreay was absolutely needed, but he did have a relationship with Don Callis, and he had a match with Chris Jericho, so it made sense. And New Japan Wrestling allowed it, so there you go. That's why the match happened. Anyway, Will Ospreay says this about restoring the feeling of AEW, and he is the feeling. I don't think Will Ospreay is the feeling, folks. He's more of the guy that can produce good wrestling matches for pay-per-views. Okay. Yeah. MJF's the feeling. He's got more of the American talent. And yes, as Matt 87 Eagle says, our American hero, MJF. He is our hero. He's our American hero, MJF. Our scumbag is our American hero, okay? So let's get it straight. Anyway, let me read Matt 87 Eagle's comment. Our American hero, MJF, is going to do what our founding fathers did back in the day. Give Ospreay a Yankee do AEW whipping. Love it, Matt. Love it. That was a good comment. Anyway, going on. So anyway, MJF says for all the trash that came out of his mouth, he got one thing right. MJF says he doesn't care about catering to the fans, and he only cares about winning. Friedman wants to know who the hell Ospreay is. MJF says everyone knows who he is and everyone loves him. The crowd boos. MJF wants to know who told him he was the best in the world. Freeman laughs at the notion it was the fans and says they know nothing about pro wrestling because they like his matches. I don't know about that. I like MJF. I just kind of wish he was playing more of a baby face, but they need heels, so I let it slide. But he's still, I still love MJF. He's a Jew just like me, so I can't hate my Jew brother. Anyway, MJF says Ospreay can be the feeling all he wants. Friedman is the facts. And facts don't care about feelings. And that is absolutely true to all you woke people. Okay. Anyway, I'll stay away from that. I shouldn't have mentioned any of that. It might get me canceled or shitted on here. But oh well. I like being the bad guy. Kind of like MJF. Don't like me? Tough shit. Anyway. Oh, it's the Tiger Driver 91. Excuse me. I apologize. I would call him the Tiger Driver 96. Anyway, MJF reminds him he headlined and won the biggest wrestling show of all time. Friedman says Ospreay has the Tiger Driver 91 in the chamber and he isn't man enough to pull the trigger. Uh-oh. Bad move by MJF to even bring that up. Because now this will open up a can of worms for MJF to have to deal with this move, and he's going to end up losing, unfortunately. But whether he wins or loses, I don't care. I love MJF. This is why I watch AEW. If there was no MJF, I think I'd stop watching. But then again, I wouldn't have enough content to review on this channel for pro wrestling, so I'd have to watch it regardless to at least build some subscribers from time to time. I'm as inconsistent as Tony Khan is, let me tell you. And I'm not going to deny that or fiddle around it, beat around the bush. I know. I'm not here consistently. I mean, for God's sakes, I was gone for 2 weeks. Okay. So I get what anyone would say about or commentary about how I conduct business over here. All right. So I got what you're saying. I'm trying to fix it. All right. Anyway. So Will Ospreay says history books can be rewritten. Actually, no, they can't, because if they were, they wouldn't be the history. Now, can they be fixed later on in the future? Yeah. Mistakes can be made and then be fixed. So if that's what he's referring to, then that's one thing, but you can't change history. Once history is made, it's done. There's no more changing it. That's why they call it history, the past. Ospreay says to ask anyone around the world who the best wrestler in the world is, and they will say it's him. Ospreay says he can't lose on Sunday. MJF says the fans loved him until Ospreay showed up and ruined it. And then you saw a kind of somewhat of a weird look on MJF's face as to say, oh shit, I actually admitted that out loud. So yeah. I honestly, I don't think any of this matters. It is so silly that this is just simple situation here that MJF had to turn heel because we have no top heels. That's all this is. If there was a top heel or a couple of top heels in AEW that we can rely on as adversaries for the baby faces in AEW, MJF would not be a heel right now. He'd still be a baby face interacting and connecting with the fans. I mean, even to this day right now, with him being the heel that he is, he still has problems trying to get these fans to stop cheering for him. It's that fucking crazy because they honestly love him. And that's a huge problem that Tony Khan has. Anyway, MJF says he spent time with Ospreay's wife and so-called kid before the show. Oh boy. Bad move by MJF here. A very bad move. Ospreay is getting heated, and MJF says he has a feeling after the conversation he had with his wife tonight, the next kid she has won't be his either. Oh, fuck. Ospreay asked Tony Schiavone how much the fine will be if he punches MJF right now. Schiavone says, Khan tells him it's going to be $100,000. Ospreay says it's worth it, and he pummels MJF before security rushes into the ring, separating the two. While Ospreay is dealing with the security, Friedman hits him with the Dynamite Diamond ring and makes him bleed. MJF hits him with a brainbuster and does a fake 3 count on him. And Friedman attempts to hit Ospreay with the Tiger Driver 91, but he's stopped by security. Okay, well, there you go. This was a good segment. I absolutely love this. But unfortunately, this segment also gives us clues as to who's winning this match at All In. And it's going to be Will Ospreay, guaranteed. Unless Tony Khan pulls one out of his sleeve and says, oh, no, MJF's still winning the match regardless. Which makes no sense, but whatever. Anyway, Hangman Page attacks Evil Uno on AEW Dynamite. This segment was absolutely silly. I'll tell you why. Hangman Page is into this gauntlet battle royal or casino gauntlet match on Sunday to be crowned as a number 1 contender for a future world title match. While Darby Allin also has a title match for the world title later on in the future, probably Grand Slam, more than likely. None of this shit makes any fucking sense. They got one guy getting a world title match already for the future. Now they're setting up another guy with a world title match for the future. And none of this shit makes any sense. But anyway, Evil Uno steps into the picture backstage with an interview with Renee Paquette. And he asks Evil Uno, so what have you been up to, my friend? And he goes, oh, well, guess what? I actually was added to the Casino Gauntlet match for the opportunity for the world title. And he beats the living tar out of him as if you didn't know that was coming. Absolutely fucking retarded. Anyway, moving on. And he promises that he so after he beats up Evil Uno, Paige says there's nothing more he wants than to make Swerve's dreams and happiness go up in smoke. So he's targeting, he wants Swerve Strickland. This is interesting. I don't know how this is going to work with Swerve Strickland being world champion and the possibility of Bryan Danielson winning the match. Because if you go on Bet Online, Swerve Strickland's a fucking underdog. Bryan Danielson's the favorite. That's crazy. I want to consider throwing some money down on Swerve Strickland, maybe. I don't know, but I'll be going over that tomorrow after we do the UFC bets, which is a separate live stream that I'll be doing tomorrow night at 7:30, and then we will be doing the live stream for the preview predictions for the AEW All In show at 8:30, 8:45, somewhere around that time. Anyway, AEW Continental Champion Okada versus Claudio Castagnoli, and they wrestled to a time limit draw. Good match, as I already mentioned. Enjoyed it very much for what it was. Unfortunately, it was not on the card. Then we had FTR and Darby Allin. They won their match against the Elite with Jack Perry and the Young Bucks. Thought this match was very good, actually. I enjoyed this match. The Acclaim speaked ahead of All In. This was a good segment by the Acclaim. Better than just them sitting around, scissoring me daddy ass type bullshit. They really were intense. They seemed determined and were interested in actually becoming World Tag Team Champions again. Where the fuck was that about 2 years ago? I have no idea. But now they're here. What do you know? First, they were going after Trios Tag Team titles, which is the wrong championship belts they should be going after. And now they're going after the right titles. It only took them 2 years to realize that. Congratulations. I mean, you're a little slow on the uptake, but at least you catch on. Anyway, so the Elite left through the crowd after the match was over as the Acclaim hit the stage and Max Caster calls FTR court jesters and the Young Bucks his favorite princesses. I love that one. That was a good comment. Caster says the belts will come home to the Acclaim on Sunday since neither team can beat them. And Anthony Bowen says FTR and the Young and the Bucks can't beat the Acclaim, and they will fight until they are the next tag team champions. And he said why? And that's because everybody loves the Acclaim. And Billy Gunn gets on the mic and goes, and if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. And the fans chanted, suck it. As if this is DX. When it's actually the Acclaim. Anyway, I already mentioned about Will Ospreay talking to Bryan Danielson earlier today. Or later on in the show. In the beginning of this video. So then we had the last segment with Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson going ahead and talking face-to-face for the final time. Nigel McGuinness is in the ring and brings out AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana. McGuinness goes to introduce Bryan Danielson, but stops and interviews Strickland instead. McGuinness asks him how it feels to be heading into All In as an overwhelming favorite. Bullshit. Swerve Strickland talks about what he's done as AEW champion. Strickland says he appreciates the legend that Bryan Danielson is, but he feels disrespected by him by saying he's ready for retirement and then passes him off. And that pisses him off. Excuse me. And I can understand why. I mean, you're getting a world championship match. You're mentioning about retirement, and yet you're going to go ahead, beat me for the world title, and then go off into the sunset? Really? You're going to do that? Like, win the title and keep it for as long as you can, and then when you lose it, then retire. Because it kind of just feels you're all interested in just taking a title from me and then hanging your boots up. Like, then what the fuck are you challenging me for a title for? You know, I don't know where to go with this match. I don't know how to predict it. Honestly, I'm really cheering. I'll be quite frank with you. I hope Bryan Danielson loses. I mean, I love the story. It reminds me a lot of the comeback that he did at WrestleMania 34. The WrestleMania 30 match he had where he won the world title for the first time in his career. Well, actually, third time in his career, but at a major stage and everything to do that, and had to go through hula hoops through creative to do that. And in this case, he didn't have to do all that outside the ring behind the curtain, but he still hasn't been in the best shape. He has been banged up. This is his last hurrah. So him winning a world title is a nice little stamp on his career and call it a day. But still, you then got to look at Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland hasn't gotten enough names under his reign as champion to say, hey, Swerve Strickland had a hell of a reign. Beating Bryan Danielson definitely gives him that pull. And I'm going to lean and root for Swerve Strickland in this match, honestly. As much as I would like to see Bryan Danielson win a world title to close his career, Swerve Strickland has not had a big enough names to say, I did it as a world champion in this run. He needs this W more than Bryan does, in my personal opinion. That's just the way I see it. But anyway, let me finish up here and close it out. Swerve says if Danielson ever tries to wrestle again after he loses on Sunday, he's going to be there to beat him down. Strickland mentions Danielson's family, which brings out the American Dragon, who rushes to the ring and hits him with a Bukasco knee. I believe is how you pronounce it. The American Dragon has woken, and Bryan Danielson says he doesn't come out and talk all the time, but he knows it and they know it. He's the best fucking wrestler in the world and has been for the past 20 years. Danielson says this Sunday at Wembley Stadium in front of the fans who paid to see him for the last 25 years and in front of his family, Danielson says you'll have to damn near kill me because he is leaving his soul in that ring. Bryan says there's been a lot of talking tonight, but there's only one question left. Can Danielson beat Swerve for the AEW World Championship? And the crowd chants yes as AEW goes off the air. Absolutely good ending, leaving question marks all over the place as to who's going to win what. I think this match is very unpredictable. I really do. I have a very hard time predicting this match. And I love both of these guys. Don't get me wrong. I think the guy that needs the win more is Swerve Strickland more than Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson has done everything in his career. To me, this should be his retirement match. This is the match where he goes ahead, he loses, and Swerve Strickland remains the top world champion in the company until MJF takes the title from him. That's what I think happens. I mean, granted, you could have Hangman Page become world champion, but he hasn't had enough build on him since returning compared to an MJF. Hell, even Will Ospreay is another guy that you could go with winning the title outside of MJF. But excluding that, I think MJF is the top guy to go for the title. He's also the top heel in the company. That's the way I see it. That's the way I feel about it. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say at this time. You know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night, guys. Bye.